Current and former company directors and officers, including Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Andreessen, has reached a surprise settlement in a shareholder lawsuit seeking $8 billion over repeated Facebook user privacy violations. The agreement came today just as the trial entered its second day in Delaware's Court of Chancery. While the exact terms weren't disclosed, plaintiffs had aimed to make the 11 defendants personally liable for the billions Meta paid in regulatory fines, including a record $5 billion penalty by the US Federal Trade Commission in 2019 for failing to protect user data. The case stemmed from the notorious Cambridge Analytica scandal, which saw the private data from millions of Facebook users accessed by the now defunct political firm during Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. Shareholders argued that Meta's leadership knowingly allowed Facebook to operate as what they described as an illegal data harvesting operation, violating a 2012 agreement with the FTC. Zuckerberg and Sandberg were both scheduled to testify next week, alongside Meta board members like Peter Thiel and Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings. But with the settlement reached, the trial was abruptly adjourned. The company itself was not a defendant in the case. On its website, Meta has claimed to have invested billions in user privacy safeguards since 2019. We're now joined by Somraj Bhattacharjee, who is an AI and market strategist expert. He joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much, Somraj, for joining us on the program. Somraj, how might this settlement impact Meta's stock performance and investor confidence in the short and medium term?
Yes, so thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's a very valid point because the background to this whole case was the precedence of privacy. Meta's entire stock portfolio and investor confidence came from the fact that, as you said, back in 2012, Meta, back then it was called Facebook, had promised that data being collected from various sources would remain secure. And that was one of the main reasons, growing investor pressure that led to the executives being held personally accountable for these corporate privacy failures. With this settlement, it is expected that the stock markets will show a lot more confidence in their abilities, but it is a wait and watch scenario till further developments happen in this Delaware case resolution. Because at the end of the day, as long as the case is solved, it is good for the investors, but somewhere down the line, accountability does come back to bite. And corporate governance is something that Meta needs to really think seriously about.
Somraj Bhattacharjee, I'm so sorry we have run out of time. Thank you very much for joining us and for your insight on that. We now move on as G20 finance ministers meet in Durban to host South Africa, urged member nations to show global leadership amid rising trade tensions and looming tariff threats from President Trump. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana urged for unity under the banner of solidarity, equality, sustainability, highlighting issues like climate funding and high capital costs. But with key absences, including US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, doubts remain over the group's ability to act cohesively. The G20's influence is further challenged by geopolitical rifts and non-binding commitments. Let's listen in to what South Africa's Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana had to say.
It's at a time of a fragile global economic growth, while inflation is gradually moderating and financial conditions have started to stabilize in some regions. Uncertainty continues to weigh heavily on global growth prospects. Rising trade barriers, persistent global imbalances, and new geopolitical risks are significant concerns. At the same time, climate-related shocks and extreme weather events are increasing in frequency and severity worldwide, impacting lives, livelihoods, and macroeconomic stability. The cumulative impact of these cascading challenges is pushing the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030 further out of reach. In the face of these complex challenges, the G20 must remain a source of strategic global leadership, cooperation, and action. We must extend our efforts if we are to reach our true potential as a collective, to enable us to deal decisively with economic, environmental, developmental, and social challenges that plague especially